there's some crazy stuff in this game that I like. As a sci-fi nerd, I'm like, this is speaking to my soul.
Yeah, honestly, I think we need to build a space elevator.
Space elevator would be pretty dope. Where does it go to? Is it going to the moon?
Well, because I guess in the game it just allows them to like transport stuff up to space satellites and stuff. So I think that would be cool. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if people could go just take it up. Yeah. But imagine we do connect it to like a space base that then lets you. That's like your home base to then fly to Mars or the moon or something like that. Like that would be pretty cool.
It's like, what'd you do this weekend?
Yeah,
hang out? I just went to the moon.
I just went to the space elevator and blasted off to the moon.
Yeah,
and
I saw a sunset on the moon.
Can have a bunch of cool airplanes guarding it. Yeah, like, that'd be kind of cool.
It's like, oh, sick. Well, I watched a movie, so you know. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Bandai Namco podcast, where we're giving you a deep dive look into all of your favorite games from our studios, developers, special guests, the whole thing. So welcome, my name is Alex Stadnik, and I'm gonna be taking you on a journey back into the skies. We are discussing Ace Combat 7 Skies Unknown. We're gonna be discussing why this game rules, and if you missed it for the first time, we don't judge you, but we're here to tell you that it's okay and you should play this game. So to do that though, I need one hell of a co-pilot, and I have found the perfect guest to take you on this journey. So ladies and gentlemen, Sam Eckholm in the building with us.
Let's
Hello,
go.
Sir. How are you?
Hello. Great intro.
Oh, thank you. I've been working on it for 2 days.
It shows.
Yes, thank you. For those of you who don't know Sam, you are one of the premier video creators in the aerospace field on YouTube. I don't know if you're on Twitch, but like on the internet, where we all live.
Most
basically.
social media you can find me.
Yeah. So talk to me about that. How did you kind of get into this role?
Yeah. Oh man. I think kind of the coolest part is I actually was in the Air Force. So that's my cool plug I get to share is I went to the Air Force Academy for college, followed in my dad's footsteps. He was a pilot in the Air Force, now flies for the commercial airline world, inspired me to want to go, which is a really cool school for those of you who don't know, up in Colorado Springs, where you spend 4 years and some of your college classes are literally flying gliders, jumping out of airplanes.
Oh, really?
Going through survival training. It's a wild experience, a little bit different than the typical college experience.
I was going to say, at University of North Dakota, where I went, it was hockey and just being cold.
Well, they have a big aviation program there too, which is cool. So anyway, once I graduated, my commitment back to the Air Force for them paying for my education was I owed 5 years active duty. Mm-hmm. So I took a little bit of a unique approach, right? So instead of going right into the pilot world and flying, I kind of knew I wanted to tell stories, right? I wanted to not only be around airplanes and aviation, but also make videos and content to share it with other people. Because when I was young growing up, I realized there wasn't too much out there that showed this crazy world of military aviation in the way that I thought would live up to the hype. So during my time on active duty, I was also making videos. A lot of that started when I was on the F-22 demo team. So for the Ace Combat fans out there, it's actually like the cover photo is the F-22 Raptor that they used for the game.
Yeah. Okay.
So my cool plug is I actually got to work with that jet, with that team, and travel around the world doing all the social media, the video for that team. Mm-hmm. And then flash forward a few years later, I just kept making stories behind the scenes and videos that just kind of blew up. I think people were really interested in this once top secret, mysterious world of military aviation. My goal is to make it something that everyone could see and experience and be excited about. So looking now and looking back at some of the incredible things I've done, I've flown in F-16s, F-15s, the U-2 spy plane up to 70,000 feet high. I've pulled G's and passed out in the back of an F-18 with the Blue Angels.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And done some really just crazy experiences that I don't think, I'll ever forget. So
for sure. Other than when you passed out, you
I forgot
that moment.
I think about 15 seconds. I forgot. You're right.
For
good
sure.
point.
I do want to go back to something interesting, and we'll get to Ace Combat, I promise. But you said it like this is usually like a top secret field. Did you have pushback when you started? Like,
great
bringing
question.
your camera around, like that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yes, I should have given the disclaimer. Like nothing we're showing is like classified in a way that shouldn't be.
Right. Yeah.
It's more of like, I think it's just a weird world where a lot of people assume certain things, and so I came in knowing how to do it within the lines and the boundaries of what is allowed, and that's kind of the difference. So I think traditional media had done stories on the military a ton, and you can see that on your news outlets and stations, but no one had really brought it to the world of social media and the creator world in a way that I think made it just easy for younger kids, people who didn't grow up on, or who grew up on new media could understand. So because I had a little bit of that background and was in that world, I had the reputation that kind of made it, trustworthy, but definitely not giving away our nation's secrets.
Correct. Yeah.
More of just showing the cool stuff that there is out there.
For sure. That's awesome. Is there kind of a video that like, kind of where you thought like, oh, I made it, or like you got like the biggest response to? Because I've seen some of your work and it's really cool. But is there like a moment in time where it's like, oh, this is like my life now?
Yeah. So when I first started, it was more of me trying to show like proof of concepts. Like, hey, if you let me fly in the back of this aircraft, like here's what I can do. And I always tell people like, it's not about me. The story, it's not about my experience flying. It's really about taking the viewer along with me. And I simply just see myself as kind of the host that can sort of act as that like liaison between this complex military world in the civilian world where not many people actually know what's going on. So I kind of bridge that gap.
Yeah.
So one of the first videos I did that I was like, wow, this is crazy, is when I was invited by the Navy's Blue Angel team to fly in the back of an F-18 and share that experience. They're so famous, so iconic, so historic. And so to be able to actually strap in the back seat with, some of the best pilots in the world and experience what it's like to pass out, if you guys haven't seen that clip, was a wild experience. And then one more recently, I briefly talked about it a second ago, was the U-2 spy plane. So this is a Cold War era aircraft developed in the 60s within Area 51, top secret in the day, to fly spy missions over the Soviet Union during the Cold War. A lot of people don't know they're still flying it today, mainly because satellites are so expensive that they still have this old piece of tech that they can put up quickly and fly all around the world and reposition in an easy way. It's like, what ain't broke, don't fix it. So it's like, it's not broken yet, so they're still flying it. And I had the opportunity to go up with the pilot to 70,000 feet in a full spacesuit. You're wearing literally like helmet, oxygen, spacesuit, because if you lost pressurization at that high of an altitude, your blood would instantly boil and you would essentially just vaporize.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is wild. So that was a video I put out and it kind of broke the internet because it was the first time like a creator got to experience something like this. And again, I was just so excited, really not for me, but to be able to show people and take people along with me for that experience was crazy.
For sure. I mean, that's amazing. I did see that video and I did have to laugh when it like the camera cut and you were like holding like your DSLR camera in the midst of this like amazing piece of tech. I was like, oh, we're cooking, baby.
And the other cool thing is like I ate like an apple pie at space because people don't know. It's like astronaut food because you're wearing literally an astronaut helmet. You can't just open it to eat. So they blend up food in this little tube and you put it in this port, like this food port, this little hole, and you squeeze it and it's literally a blended up apple pie is what I chose to take with me. So the funny thing is like, I ate an apple pie at 70,000 feet at the edge of space, which is wild to say.
That is a claim most people probably cannot make. So
tasted pretty good.
Yeah.
Too.
Oh, that's even more important. I would argue. So it sounds like, I mean, like aviation and like this field, aerospace, has been like a passion for you for a long time. So it makes sense that Ace Combat would be something that appeals to you, right? Can you talk to me about like when you first played the game and first got interested in it?
Yeah. I mean, Ace Combat's a legendary game that I think everyone who, is even remotely interested in aviation knows about. Now, the cool thing is I love that Ace Combat isn't necessarily trying to be like a full-on flight simulator, right? It's filling a specific niche that is super exciting and was appealing to someone like me. Yeah. Someone who's not a full-on pilot every day, like that's not my job. It's kind of this game where you can experience like a little bit of that thrill while also a little bit of fantasy at the same time. So when I first heard about it was back during the COVID days, because that's when everyone had downtime. Yeah. And a lot of my friends were trying to get me to come on and play with them because we had nothing to do. And so we would fire up Ace Combat, play some multiplayer missions. That's where I first kind of made it through the campaign. Oh, cool. And then too, it was fun for me to, at the time when I was on the F-22 demo team, actually get to fly the aircraft that was on the team, although it took a while to unlock it because you got to like progress through the character arc to get it, which was cool. For sure. But since then, a lot of my followers are always like asking like, hey, you should do like a stream party with that. Or they're like, hey, like what they're showing their progress and their favorite aircraft. And it's one of those games that does such a good job of not only kind of taking players and viewers and aviation fans like into the world of what like being a fighter pilot is like, but also blending in some incredible storytelling as well, which is always fun. It's cool to like see a mix of both real and fantasy and, what do they call it? The strange real world in Ace Combat, which is cool. So it's been a fun experience getting to like follow along with the fandom and see something that has been such an iconic game for the last 20 years almost.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I know when I think back to that era where we were all, at home and stuff like that, like games that I played in that era are really special. So it makes sense why it's like why you're here today and why it made such an impression on you. That's really cool. Yeah. So you kind of did it already, but like talk to fans who have like heard about it, who have like have it on their Steam wish list and are like why, like tell them why like this is a game you could still play today and have like a really good time, why they should get off the bench and like give it a try.
Yeah, and it's cool because as we know, Ace Combat's been around for so long, right? The 8th iteration, and they've had several different spin-offs. But the cool thing is that you can pick up this game for the first time and it's not crazy intimidating.
No.
For someone who, was a gamer a lot as a kid, took a big break during college as I was figuring this out, got to pick this game back up and immediately like literally thrust into the cockpit, and I knew what I was doing in a matter of minutes. So I think Ace Combat does a really good job of kind of like blending the lines or blurring the lines between not being too difficult to play, but also being something anyone can pick up. Yeah. For me, the big things I tell people is one, like the aerial combat, the dogfighting sequences, it's so fun. Yeah. I mean, everyone's a fan of Top Gun.
Right.
Everyone saw that movie. Well, this is like, okay, once you watch that movie, you come home, you fire up Ace Combat, and then you're in the cockpit yourself, which is fun.
Yeah.
Two, the storytelling, that was always what got me to pick up games. Like I was more of a campaign mode type of guy. And so usually with like flight simulator type games or arcade style combat shooters, you're not always getting the story, right? It's just, okay, you go up in a mission, you do some dogfighting, which is fun, but there isn't a story. And I know the Bandai team, the Ace Combat team has really put an emphasis on that storytelling, and it shows. And I think Skies Unknown does like the best job at that. And we can talk more about that too.
Yeah, we'll get into it.
Yeah, and then just outside of that is someone who's like a sucker for like the cinematics and the visuals.
Yeah.
This game just takes it to another level.
For sure.
I know it's not necessarily trying to be realistic 100% of like what it is in the aviation world, but it does a good job.
Yeah.
From just flying the dogfighting missions in the skies and the clouds and the water vapor that appears on the canopy as you're flying, to the radio comms, to the types of aircraft they have modeled that really do mimic the real ones that are flying. It's a really fun experience and something 100%. I think anyone who's either a fan of aviation or not will enjoy. I certainly have.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, I'll lay my cards on the table.
Lay them on. Yeah.
I had not played this game. I had been intimidated by the 7. I was like, do I have to play the other ones? Do I have to get a PlayStation?
Start on number 1.
Right, yeah. But I did grow up playing first-person shooters, third-person shooters, multiplayer shooters. Like that was kind of how I grew up. So when I came to this a couple weeks ago, which I haven't beat it yet, I'm working on it. I was really taken with how in concert a lot of those were.
Yeah.
As a game experience, right? You get in the menus and you're picking your loadouts, right? A very familiar concept for me and how I grew up, right? You're picking your planes, and you're trying to figure out what fits each section the best. And I think that's really cool. That speaks to me as like an FPS gamer. And you can switch the views, right? You can do full cockpit mode, you can do third person, like that kind of stuff. So I'm really taken with it. And I think like I am very happy with like the story of it. And I think it has like a lot of heart. It's very smart too, especially this game came out in 2019 originally. I think it's dealing with a lot of really prescient ideas at the time that like we're dealing with now. And I'm just like, I think it's an awesome experience. It looks good still. So, but let's get into the nitty gritty here. Because like you said, you've played it, I've played it. Why for you is the moment to moment gameplay so exhilarating in this?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, if I'm going to sit down and play a game, it needs to have my attention.
Yeah.
And this game does that. I love how, like, literally from the first mission you play, you're thrown into this world of like competing alliances and this enemy type world where you like really your decisions do matter.
Yeah.
And like, I don't think I was expecting that when I first picked this up. I was like, oh, this is going to be cool. It's going to be like other fighter type games, but you're really thrown into this universe of like, oh, no kidding. Like your decisions matter. And that was exciting for me to see for the first time. Two, outside of that, I want to go back to what you said earlier about how like realistic kind of the storyline is in terms of things going on in this world. Like you'll see if you play, a big topic they discuss is, you know, the AI drones versus the manned fighter pilot thing. And a lot of people probably picking this up don't even, aren't following the news, don't understand that. And so like props to the developers who did a really good job, because even today, you're right, it came out in 2019, like what, 5-6 years later. Like that's still a big contentious issue. And I think the game actually does a good job of like, you know, showing what that's like leading up, you know, to the final mission and the Arsenal bird and, you know, kind of going up against these drone type aircraft. So for me, the coolest thing was like not only being able to like be in a world where I can fly and maneuver and be around aircraft, but also like, you know, go down this storyline that is slightly realistic and kind of matters in today's world, but also in a fun way. It's not too stressful. It's not like it weighs on you. It's fun.
We can talk more about it later, but there's a camp to this game that I really enjoy. A bit of like self-seriousness, but not at a fault. You know what I mean? We can talk about some of the lore and the memes and stuff later, but yeah, I'm 100% with you. I think we can get into the next point too, is like what works so well for me too is the variety of missions. Because the first couple is kind of like easing players in. It's you're getting familiar with the controls. They're slowly starting to like build you up a little bit. And then by like mission 3 or 4, it's like, it's on. And now we're starting to get a little bit more variance, which I think is really cool. Do you have any like favorite like mission structures that you enjoyed, or is it like I don't know, like some of your favorite tasks from the game? Do you remember?
Well, the cool thing about Ace Combat is, like you said, it's a variety of missions. So, you know, you kind of get thrown in from the beginning just doing like the classic dogfighting. But then they actually do such a good job of spacing out like what you are doing. So there might be some missions where, okay, your job is to defend a target, right? Okay, now your job is to strike a target on the ground. Or now your job is to escort someone, right? So you're kind of going up against like a different type of mission where you're looking out for your enemies and trying to bring, you know, the person or the aircraft behind you along. And then they also have like boss battles too, which is cool. So like it kind of pays homage to the classic video game ends of levels where you're fighting actual bosses and coming together. So it's never like repetitive. And then on top of that, like one of my favorite things to do is just go in the free flight mode where you can just kind of fly around.
I haven't tried that.
And not even have to do like missions. And that's always fun. That's actually where I first started, because I was like, I just want to fly these cool airplanes.
Do you as someone who has lived experience with planes, but also like wants something a little bit more arcadey, like what control style do you use when you play?
So when I first started, I was definitely on like the basic mode because I just wanted to play and get a feel for it. But it is cool that you can kind of like mess with the settings, get more advanced, have a bit more control. And I know a lot of like the hardcore Ace Combat players are probably in that mode. A lot of people ask like, how realistic is this to the real world? And the cool thing is like, I don't think Ace Combat is trying to be 100% realistic. They are not a simulator game, but still at the same time, you can tell how much attention to detail there is there. So from the fact that like so many of the aircraft that you can fly, I think there's over like 30 different aircraft in the game are modeled, you know, a lot of them are the same ones that are in the military that you can fly and you can unlock them, which is cool. The radio comms are very, I think, do a good job of like kind of mimicking like what that would be in real life. And then, you know, for someone that's actually flown in jets, I kind of get a kick out of a lot of the things that they're doing, like from turning your controls and it starts vibrating like you're pulling G's. You know, that's cool. They actually knew what they were doing there, and I respect them, give them credit.
All right. So question for you. Have you ever in real life bounced a plane off the ground?
Like on landing? So I haven't in the back, but I've been in a plane that kind of does that. And it's funny. It's I would say obviously easier to land in Ace Combat, but at the same time, I'm like, man, like this, I've definitely, you know, you bounce a landing in Ace Combat, like you'll be like, that could happen in real life too.
Because
not endorsement. Don't practice your landings in Ace Combat for real life.
For real life, 100%. I ask because I had a moment in like the second mission where I was like, all right, I'm learning the ropes, I'm getting this down. And then I got a little cocky and I was like, I'm gonna buzz this tower, I'm gonna get, and then I just went boop right off the ground. I took like 20% damage. I was like, oh, okay, so that's not how I was supposed to do this. I need better equipment for that.
See, in real life, you'd just be ejecting at that point.
I'd be like, sweating, throwing up. It'd be the whole thing. There's moments of that where it feels arcadey in the best possible way. Like I remember I was coming down off of a mission, right? And I really like the landing and takeoff sequences. It's kind of like when I'm watching a streaming thing or like a TV show and it's like gives you the option to skip the intro. I was like, I'm not gonna skip the intro. This is like an artist made this. Anyways. But I was like landing. It was like 11 o'clock, so I was like a little sleepy. I was like, oh, this is so nice. I'm coming to a thing, and I like hit the rim of like the ship, and I just exploded, and it was like mission failed. I was like, oh, okay, this needs to be a little bit more considered.
Yeah.
Are there any like? Do you have any like moments from your time playing the game that like are just kind of crazy or out there or just silly like that?
Yeah, well, for me, I have such a unique perspective because like I have done some of this in real life.
Yeah.
So like I think in the game a lot of the times like the altitude will max you out at like 50,000 feet.
Yeah.
Whatever. And that's funny because one of my first flights in an F-15 with the Air Force in a video I was doing, we actually went up to the 50,000 foot ceiling, which is the max like they're supposed to fly.
Yeah.
And the pilot was telling me like, this is our like listed max, but we can go way higher.
Ooh,
so he just like pulled throttles up. We went to like 55,000 feet and the air and the oxygen mass was like blowing super hard. And my pilot was telling me how at the higher altitudes, you have to be careful about how you maneuver the airplane. Else you'll stall. You have to be very careful about the speeds.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same in Ace Combat. Like if you go super high, like the characteristics of flight are different. Like it warns you about stalling. That's why it tries to keep you lower. And so like those were like little Easter eggs to me. I don't even know if it's an Easter egg, but like things that like are kind of realistic.
Nice feature.
It's funny. So
Yeah.
anytime I'm playing the games and the different missions and like some of that stuff, it kind of makes me click. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I'll hear a comm, like a soundbite from one of the pilots, like Fox 3 splash, something like that when you're letting missiles go. Like that. That's that is kind of how it is in real life, and it always kind of makes me smile. I'm I
wouldn't dare say it's similar, right? Because one's a video game, one's real life. But like, is stalling like? Is it scary in that moment, or is it pretty easy to get out of? Because like in my mind, it's like, oh, plane's going down, I'm in trouble. Yeah.
Well, luckily, if you're high enough and have like a powerful aircraft, you can like recover from the stall pretty easily. But I mean, and sometimes pilots will even purposefully stall the airplane because it's like practice the maneuvers and getting out of it. But I think generally speaking, you wouldn't want to do that.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Because in Ace Combat you can, and then you can just reload.
It's actually helped me at times.
Yeah, exactly.
Because sometimes, like, especially early on, I was like struggling to like line up my targets, the drones, and sometimes I'd hit a stall and it like put it right where I needed it to. I was like, oh, thank you, missile go out and stuff like that. So I'm sure that's not what it's like in real life, but yeah, that's great. We talked a bit about it a bit earlier, right? But I think one of the strengths of this game is the customization of the planes. For me, it felt like a little overwhelming at the start because there's just like so many options. But then once I kind of like likened it to my original experiences with some of those like first person, third person shooters, I found it like really cool. And I was like, oh, I'm tuning my loadout. Talk to me about your experience with customization, and like, is that a part of the game that you really enjoyed? Is that you sought out like that kind of stuff?
Yeah, no, it makes it super fun. And that when I first picked it up, my goal was to get far enough to unlock the F-22, right? Which is one of the more advanced stealth aircraft you have. And I think the Ace Combat franchise does a good job with their point system of, you play hard, you're in points, you get to unlock different paint schemes on the aircraft, weapons, loadouts, different types of aircraft, even some fictional aircraft, which is really fun. And it gives you that kind of like, drive to keep playing because you have something to work for. And I think that's one of the central things that hooks a lot of people into Ace Combat. It's just like, you keep playing, you get access to cooler airplanes and cooler loadouts and cooler weapons and cooler paint schemes. That was always fun for me, both as a fan of like actual aviation, because I know if I keep playing, I can unlock a cool aircraft. I mean, that's always cool.
Yes, 100%. Did you find like when you were in the Air Force, like, did you have leniency to like not customize your weapons, but like, could you like, spray something on the back or like customize a little bit like yourself?
Yeah. Great question. So kind of in the actual Air Force, like, and it's mimicked in this game, like they have certain characteristics that you can customize. So like all the pilots will get their names on the side of the airplane. Certain squadrons, depending on where they're based, will have the tails of the airplane painted, similar to Ace Combat. Like, they kind of talk about the different squadrons you get put in as you progress throughout the game. Like, that's kind of real.
Yeah.
And the cool thing that I think actually is very well reflected in this game is like the camaraderie, like brotherhood of your flight squadron is very accurate. I mean, that's like your family, that's your team, that's who you eat, sleep, work with all the time. And this game does a good job of bouncing the player, when you're playing with Trigger, who starts in, one squadron and gets bounced to another one. Right. It's kind of cool to see how they kind of like pay respects to like what that is real life.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, cool. Because like I said, that's been a part of this game that I thought I would like dread, because that's usually not what I look forward to in games. But like now that I'm in it, I'm like, ooh, if I get enough points, I can throw like the UAV missiles onto here, and then like I can do like that kind of stuff. And I'm really like, I'm quite taken with it. So definitely enjoying it. We've talked a bit about some of this, right? But I'm curious, like when you play Ace Combat and you are looking for less of the fantasy point, more of like the lived part of it, like is the cockpit, do you get that from the cockpit experience? Do you get that from like what part of the game is like, whoa, this like I'm feeling like I'm back in a plane?
Yeah, mostly I'd say like the dogfighting missions where you're going at it and you can, like you said, you can go through and look at the actual HUD, which is the heads-up display of the airplane, and kind of see the targeting and see other people coming at you. That's pretty cool. And just like flying through the like pretty realistic visuals always gets me.
Yeah.
This game does such a good job with that. And I know that was a huge emphasis.
Yeah.
But for me, like when you play a game that is very, the graphics don't kind of hold up, it kind of takes you out of the experience.
Yeah.
And Ace Combat does a very good job of keeping you in that experience.
Yeah, 100%.
I was just talking before this, I have yet to try like the VR mode that they have for this game. I would be interested to try that.
I would too, yeah.
Pilots use that for real actual training in their simulators.
Oh, yeah.
And so, it'd be fun to kind of strap on the headset and see what this game looks like actually in full VR.
Yeah, because I know there are specific VR missions that y'all can check out, I think for PlayStation VR. But yeah, I am quite impressed with, like we said, this game came out originally in 2019. Yeah. And I think it looks great. I've been playing it a lot on PC and Steam Deck, and especially moment to moment when you're cruising through the world, like I think they did a really good job with like skyboxes and like the whole thing. So it's like, I think it's really impressive. So
yeah, especially if you look back at like the progression from the original one in the 90s to, and then they, through the early 2000s. And then there was like a 12-year gap between 6 and 7. And you can tell why. They took their time. They wanted to make it right. And I think, the fans really appreciated that.
Yeah,
and it did
100%.
such a good job. And that's why it's lived up so well for the last 5-6 years. And who knows what's next, but I bet it's going to be awesome.
Who knows?
Who knows what's next?
So I played Mission 7 last night, and it was when you were going through the thunderstorm. Do you remember this mission?
Yeah, that's crazy.
That was crazy. Yeah. I was like, because up until that point, the missions had been like really fun, but like that was the moment where I was like, oh, they're cooking with something here. Because like the lightning storm was so wild that it was really hard to like keep your targets in track. Have you ever been through anything like that?
Yeah. So
actually,
well, let me. You're like, hold up.
Oh, yeah.
So I have not.
Okay.
But there's a famous story of an Air Force pilot during the Vietnam War who wrote a book. I think it's Walking on Thunder or Dancing on Thunder. I have to look that up. But the story is he had to eject while above a thunderstorm flying. So he was in a kind of Vietnam era fighter jet, ejected at high altitude, so plus 50,000 feet.
Yeah.
And he actually then had to eject and parachute through a thunderstorm. But because of like the thermals in the weather, he kept getting like recirculated up. So like almost when he would make it through the thunderstorm, he'd get like re-put it back in the top. And the book talks about how he was up there for like 2-3 hours, just keep getting cycled back through this thunderstorm, and still made it and ended up alive and lived to write about it. So luckily, I have not had to do that experience. I mean, most of the time when you're flying, you're avoiding the thunderstorm. If there's a thunderstorm, you're going the other way. You're going above it. You're going below it. But there's some crazy stories of pilots who have had to do that. And you're one of them now that you played the mission.
I am. So. Yeah. I think I could go to that author and be like, hey, buddy, you and me.
We got the same experience.
I know. Yeah.
He'd be like, really? Okay.
Yeah, sick. Yeah, I love that mission, not only for that, but because of like the maneuvers you have to do in that too. Because it's like, it's a rocky like canyon, like, and I love how maneuverable I had to be in that.
Yeah, the low level flying. It's pretty cool.
So we've talked about why the gameplay is special in this game, but I also think, to an earlier point you made, I think the story is really special in this too. And I'm curious to hear, we've talked about it a little bit, right? But like, what is it about this story that really like clicks for you?
Yeah, I think kind of the themes throughout it are what really not only hook the player, but do such a good job of kind of like keeping you engaged. So, you know, without getting into too many spoilers, there's so many like themes of like camaraderie with like psychological, like, oh, how would you handle this situation, with alliances, and kind of just the human psychology aspect of it is really interesting. And that's something you're not going to expect when you first pick up like an arcade style combat shooter game. Right. Mm-hmm. But the fact that they weaved all of that together, it's cool. Like I said it earlier, but like the decisions you make really do matter, and kind of like you follow along with this kind of like hot shot pilot and aim trigger, and then something happens at the very beginning. Right. And then kind of you're thrust into this whole new squadron and environment that you learn from and grow with, and then it all, you know, encapsulates in this crazy mission at the end. And it's like a big like spider web weaving of drama and action-packed things that, again, you just don't expect with a game like this. Yeah. And it's like the only game like it that's out there. And I don't know how your experience was, but for me, like that hooks you.
Yeah,
and
for
it's
sure.
Cool.
So like I said, I'm about halfway through. So I started my playthrough, and part of me wanted to blitz it and get it done so it could be ready for today. But I really like was taken by how much I enjoyed it. So I was like, you know, I think it's okay that I'm like at this point.
And you couldn't beat the thunderstorm
I didn't need to say that,
so
but
that's why it's taking you long.
Yeah, exactly. I did beat that one. It's the next one that I'm having.
The next one that got you.
But no, I was like, I want to enjoy this. Like, and I think it's because of everything you said. I like the humanist angle of it too. Because I think there's a lot of war games out there that don't have that sense of humanity, like camaraderie, like you said, right? But it's like, it is focused on the people of the ground, because war is bad. It affects a lot of people. It tears lives apart. But this is like kind of focused on like the human toll of it a little bit, without, like I said, without being like so self-serious.
The fictional world of this strange real world with two fictional countries fighting and civil wars going on. So it's like, hits close to home while also like not. And it's, I don't know, it was just really interesting. And I like games that do a good job of kind of like being, you know, photorealistic is the world, right? Video realistic, story realistic, whatever the word is. Something that you can kind of like in the back of your head, like relate to a little bit. And this game does that. Yeah, for sure. And I think we talked about it earlier too, but it's like, it has moments of like camp and levity, which I really like, without being dismissive to this being a serious thing, right? Like you said, it's like a civil war. Also, it's sci-fi as hell. Yeah, I'm flying my plane around a space elevator. You know, the lighthouse.
Like there's some crazy stuff in this game that I like. As a sci-fi nerd, I'm like, this is speaking to my soul.
Yeah, honestly, I think we need to build a space elevator.
A space elevator would be pretty dope. Where does it go to? Is it going to the moon?
Well, because I guess when the game, it just allows them to like transport stuff up to space satellites and stuff. So I think that would be cool. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if people could go just take it up. But imagine we do connect it to like a space base that then lets you, that's like your home base to then fly to Mars or the moon or something like that. Like that would be pretty cool.
It's like, what'd you do this weekend? You hang out? I just went to the moon.
I just went to the space elevator and blasted off to the moon.
Yeah,
and
I saw a sunset on the moon.
Can have a bunch of cool airplanes guarding it. Like, that'd be kind of cool.
It's like, oh, sick. Well, I watched a movie, so you know. So yeah, I think that like all coalescing together is what has me really interested in this, and why I want to take my time through it. And I don't think it's a spoiler to say it's twisty, and it's like, there's a couple early things that I didn't see coming that I was like, oh, that's what we're doing.
That's what we're doing.
Okay. All right, I'm intrigued.
Maybe taking out presidents by accident.
Yeah, or being wrongfully accused. Who knows? I don't know. Check it out. Yeah. So I think it's really awesome. I think it's also, it helps that it sounds so good. Yeah. On a sound design level, it is like really top notch. What the planes sound like whizzing through the air, like all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Well, so I had the opportunity to watch some of a series of behind the scenes videos that were made with like the developers of Ace Combat. Yeah. And as I was watching those behind the scenes videos, one of them focuses like on the score, right? Yeah. So the music that went into this game, and I know like hardcore Ace Combat fans like are so passionate about the music, and like some of these songs are just so like ingrained in the lore of the game. And as I was researching it, I didn't know this at the time, but in 2020 during the Tokyo Olympics, like the Ace Combat First Flight song, the theme was played like during the ceremonies in Tokyo.
Really? Wow.
Which is so cool because it just shows like how much like the culture that country is like bought in, and how many people like associate this game with kind of like the culture. And it was really cool to see that. And so First Flight was a song, and that's one of my favorites from the game. And it's cool that like that was played on the world stage.
That's cool. I had color me ignorant. I had no idea that was the case. Yeah.
Yeah. Look it up. Very cool.
Yeah. That's amazing. Shout out to Kobayashi-san and Watanabe-san for just their amazing work on this game. Cause it is like, I did the first level, and normally it's like first level, it's like I said, you're gearing up the player for what's coming. Right.
Yeah.
But the score started, I was like, oh, like I'm like almost ready to tear up. It's like so like
music is everything.
It's swell, yeah. Oh, it 100%. Yeah,
and you know, I just love that it has those memorable songs and it's so good. Yeah. It fits the theme exactly. Yeah, so shout 100%. Out to that team.
And I think when paired with the dialogue that you talked about, right, like having stuff in the radio, everyone's like communicating with you. I think at the start I was a bit overwhelmed on that because I was like, I'm blasting over here. I'm applauding the score over here. That's how it feels in the air
too, for real. Really? There's just all this going on, and you're like, all right, you got to handle all these radios while also flying. Yeah.
Do they train you for that? Like, how does that work?
Pilots are like radio, like etiquette is like a big thing that new pilots are taught, and a lot of them mess it up because it's very hard to hit precisely like your call sign, communicating with air traffic control, managing where you're supposed to be while also like deconflicting with all like surrounding aircraft in the space. And you always have to be vigilant in communicating what you're doing before you do it. And you have to be like spot on with how you say it. Yeah. So it's cool to see in the game, like there's so much going on. Like that is how it is in the real world too. And it is challenging for sure.
Yeah. Cause I'll get call outs from like teammates in game where it's like, hey, I'm getting tailed by this drone, and I'm like, okay, so I recalibrate like what I'm doing, and like that kind of stuff. So that's fascinating because I would imagine in the actual cockpit, right, you can hear all like what's around you, right? You can hear the wind rushing and like, you know,
more or less. I mean, a lot of the times though, like people think like, for one example, you know, if you like break the sound barrier, you hear the big boom, but when you're inside the cockpit, you're flying ahead of the sound barrier, so you don't hear it because you are going faster than the speed of sound. So by the time the boom happens, your aircraft is already well past it.
Wow. Okay.
So really, you're not always hearing those sounds. It's kind of like a more of a quiet setting, but you are hearing through the radio what's going on.
Okay.
And that's, you know, the most like communication you have because, you know, it's not like you're texting your friend. You're talking to them through the radio. Yeah.
Hey, you up? What are you doing?
Yeah. Hey, how you doing?
Yeah. And I think on top of that too, I think a pitch I would make to you if you haven't played Ace Combat 7, which if you haven't picked it up already, I don't know what you're doing. I think this game is in concert with another Bandai Namco game called Armored Core 6, which I don't know how many people have played it who are listening, but I would definitely recommend it. But like how the games communicate their stories are very similar. So if you've played Armored Core and you're like, I really like that style of storytelling, I think Ace Combat's like a really easy place to pick up because of that. Like all of your teammates are talking to you through the radio. You're trying to balance all of these different sounds. And I think when it works well, it leads to a really rewarding experience. And I think some of the gameplay is in concert too, different, but I think that if you enjoy that like level of like mech building and customization, I think there's a lot of that in Ace Combat 7 as well, which is really cool. So if you haven't played it, I'd recommend you check it out.
I know, I need to.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we talked about it a bit earlier, but like the levity in this game, and I think it's perfectly emblematic of that with JPEG Dog. Are you familiar with our friend, the JPEG Dog?
Yeah, I am. I had to go do a little deep dive on it and just see kind of like what Easter egg lore type it is. But what I read is that was actually like the dog of one of the developers who they like left in there. And I don't know if the dog just sat super still or that was a photo, but it's cool how it's like a 2D dog in this 3D beautiful world that like the viewers caught on to. And I don't know.
For those who don't know, there is a scene in the game where the princess is coming off her plane and you hear the bark and it cuts to it and her dog is standing right next to her. But the dog is standing so still that it looks like a 2D animation in a 3D space. And it is so glorious. And I think the fandom has really like rallied around that in like a fun way. I love that dog too. It's a cute dog too. You know what I mean? Like
super cute dog.
So I think there's like those moments where it's like, okay, this game is campy in the best possible way. Cause I don't use camp in like a bad way. I think that's like off-putting to some. I love its sense of storytelling. And I that's really important to me because I think there's so many things out there today that like demand your attention. But when you have these like moments that like grab it, I think it's important. So I think if that like sounds good to you, like I would highly recommend this game. So a lot of Ace Combat fans want to know what the future is like. I have one currently sitting with me. So I want to ask you, my friend, let's start from a story perspective. What do you want to see from the future of Ace Combat?
Yeah, so if you remember, my first kind of introduction to Ace Combat was during the COVID days when I got to play like multiplayer, and that was such a fun aspect of the game. And I think Ace Combat 7 does a good job of having some awesome multiplayer features. I think kind of expanding on that, improving, doing more with the multiplayer would be really fun. I think that a lot of people would like that. So whether that's co-op playing where you're not just going against someone else, but you're playing with them to achieve a mission would be fun. Doing like local type of screen, like split screen playing too with your friends, like where you're actually like two controllers at the same console playing would be fun. And then really just expanding that world. I mean, multiplayer is so fun when you can share the experience with others. And like that's what originally hooked me onto the game. So more multiplayer.
Yep.
Number two, I think branching missions are really fun where like your decisions affect the campaign and the storyline. This is something Ace Combat did. I think it was on Ace Combat 5 is where they had some of those missions where like depending on your decisions, it would affect the outcome of like which path you take. That's really exciting for me. I love games like that. So I think if they could maybe bring that back, do some aspect of like branching missions would be cool. And then, yeah, I mean, always my answer is like more aircraft, throwing all the types of aircraft you can. Yeah. Even more.
Get more. Yeah,
you know, I thought it'd be cool. Like, what if you went like back in time? Maybe went to like World War II era and did like some airplanes there, or maybe like a mission there where you kind of like have a flashback and you get to play like during the World War II era where like these jets really first kind of emerged on the scene. That would always be fun. So a lot of comments I get on my videos, people are always wanting to see like more angles, different cameras, different shots. Right. So I think future iterations of Ace Combat, like any way they can give us different camera angles, right? Yeah. The ability to fly with your wingman and like maybe play as different characters as well. So it's not just one person, but you can fly with other people.
Yeah.
That could be really cool.
Yeah.
I think they do a pretty good job with like the flight characteristics so far. So definitely keeping that current. And then two, one thing this game did is like, I feel like it really was ahead of its time with the fact that some of the things back in 2019 that they're talking about with AI, with drones is really relevant now. So continuing to keep up with that, like now in the world of the news and of aviation, like what's called collaborative combat aircraft is so huge. So one aircraft controlling other aircraft and drones and putting them out there. Yeah. That's what the Air Force and the military right now is training and investing a lot of money in. So it'd be cool if Ace Combat could kind of follow that real world theme and bring that to future iterations of the game. I think that would just make it even more realistic and exciting. What about you?
Well, that's a lot of good stuff. Yeah, I think multiplayer is very important to me as a gamer, right? So I think you hit on a lot of great points that I would love to see like flesh out that suite even more. Because now Ace Combat has my attention, you know, and I'd like if we can go through like different modes like that. I mean, that would be amazing. I think I'm excited about the future of Ace Combat because I look out at the span of what the industry is putting out right now, and it's some of the best looking stuff I've seen from games, and I'm excited to see our Bandai Namco team like take advantage of that new technology because, like we said, Ace Combat 7 is 6 years old now, something like that. So it's been a while, and I mean, I feel like the industry, for better and worse sometimes, but I feel like the industry has like changed a lot technological or tech-wise in the last like
it has
4 years, like, you know, let alone like 5 or 6. So that's a big thing for me. And yeah, I think like I said, I'm new in this, and I kind of want, I don't need to see, I don't know the lore as well as some other people do, but I like what this is hitting on story-wise, right? I like the dynamic between like man versus machine. Like I would love to see them go more into those kind of stories and like keep that humanist spirit alive amidst like, you know, all the really fun moment to moment.
Yeah.
So I don't know if gameplay wise, if you want to see any changes or anything, or if you've covered what you want to cover. But
yeah, well, on behalf of the fandom who would get mad if I didn't ask, is there anything you can tell us about the future of Ace Combat?
Man, the camera just cut out. I don't know what
maybe what they're cooking upstairs somewhere. So, you know, anything.
They
camera feed's dying.
I am but a lowly video editor. They don't tell me nothing. So
I'll see what I can snoop around here after the filming of this and see what's on the walls hidden.
It's so weird. We had to escort Sam out after a lovely conversation. I don't know what happened, but I am hopeful like the rest of the community. And I know it's been a long wait, but I do think there's like interesting ways to play it now. I'm personally playing it on Steam Deck.
Oh, cool.
We recently put it on Switch, which is really cool. Have you ever played a Switch or a Steam Deck in a plane? Have you done this yet?
I did when I was getting ready for this, and it was really cool, and I didn't know what to experience or what to expect, but like it holds up really well on Switch, which is cool. So you can play it anytime, anywhere.
Yeah, but not in like an F22.
Oh, have I played like a Switch in an F22?
Yeah.
I don't think they let you because they like don't allow you to take certain electronic devices up there. You know how like when you fly in an airplane, you got to put your phone in airplane mode.
Yeah.
So I think like bringing like a Switch would be kind of bad, but
I have this image of you.
I might have to try it.
Yeah.
Fly in F22 in Ace Combat while in an F22 would be like.
That sounds like a good marketing idea. Actually, I'm gonna write that one down.
Mind blown.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have to make that happen. That'd be crazy.
I have this image of you like looking at the expanse of humanity and the earth. And it just slowly comes into frame. It's Ace Combat on a Switch, just like covering it.
What a product placement.
Yeah. So like, I think if you haven't played it since 2019, there's a lot of other cool stuff that you can check out. Right?
Yeah.
We did a lot of DLC. We did a Top Gun Maverick DLC, which is really cool. DLC. And just the portability of it on Steam Deck is awesome, and on Switch. So I don't think you're compromising your experience. It's a little different because there are moments where I'm like, God, I wish I had like booming sound to go around with this, but like you just get good headphones in your set. So any other wish list things that I can politely nod at?
Yeah, so multiplayer, we talked about maybe doing more aircraft, going back in time, the co-op or the branching type missions. I mean, outside of that, I would just say keep going hard on the storyline. That's what hooks me. That's what hooks a lot of people. That's what we spent so much time talking about today. So props to the Bandai Namco team who's done such a good job with the story. And I can't wait to see if we are fortunate to get some more editions of this, like where they'll go with it. Hopefully still paying some respects to the Easter eggs and the lore of the past for the fandom out there. And I'm sure they will. But it'll be fun to see where they go with it.
Yeah, most definitely. Sam, this has been a lovely conversation. Thank you so much for joining me. I want to give you the opportunity to plug anything that you're excited about, or your channels, like anything like that.
Yeah, so I've made it easy, just my name on all channels. So Sam Eckholm. I'd say like YouTube is probably where I send people the most because that's where you're getting the full length feature videos on some of the coolest things out there. So a lot of the stories that I talked about today, you can go and watch like my experience actually flying in these aircraft or going to the edge of space in a U-2 or doing some crazy training with the military. And really like, I feel like my purpose is to take people along for the ride on those. So check it out there. And then, outside of that, this has been so fun. Such an incredible game. Such a cool team. Like the whole Bandai Namco team has just been so fun to work with. And it shows how passionate you guys are for what you do. And I think a lot of people appreciate that. So on behalf of everyone, thank you for what you do and pass that on, please.
I'm touched. Yeah. I mean, we work really hard for like to keep fans engaged and fun because like we really do care. Like I love my job and I love being able to give and help push these games to the people who want to play them. So I appreciate that genuinely. If this conversation's been interesting, please go check out Ace Combat 7 Skies Unknown on Xbox One, PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, PC, and you can even pick it up on PlayStation VR and check out some of those VR missions. So thank you so much for watching, for listening, and we will see you next time. Bye, everyone.